I want to start with some of our guests who have experienced homelessness and talk with you a little bit about whether you ever thought you'd be homeless.
The first time I became homeless, I was like, I think I was 22 or 23, and I didn't even know what a shelter was before that age, and I never thought I would be homeless. I got in a situation that wasn't like a healthy relationship, got pregnant, and my mom, she basically stopped supporting me, and I didn't have anywhere else to go, so.
Angelica, you have kids. What were your options when you to find a place to be safe to take them?
I've been always being like off and on with my boyfriend. He's been like abusive with me. Sorry. And that's why I'm there in the shelter with my two kids, be safe there. And being like, it was a shock for me to be homeless and stuff. I had never been homeless. But like my mom, she turned her back on me, so I'm there right now. And I'm happy being there. And I hope I get a place too, like for me and my kids.
Stephanie, you're a similar situation. You ended up homeless because of domestic violence with your kids. What kind of options were there when you started trying to find a place?
It's very hard because not only was I in a domestic violence relationship, but my family is violent. We talk to each other violent. We solve problems violently. It's hard to change that. And I have 5 girls. I just look at my little girls and I'm like, they're growing up. Something needs to change. I don't want them to grow up like me. And I had been in a safe house 6 years ago. I was 21, and I knew that I needed to change then, and I needed to get away from their father, but I didn't rely on safe house like I did this time. I went to the classes, and I found out there's more deep issues than what I was giving credit to. And we've been in a stable home for a year. And the effects of homelessness, violence, lack of education is just it's so sad to see my kids, because we're still working on communication, and I talk to them and they've seen the violence between me and their dad, and so they communicate that way. And trying to change myself and trying to change 5 others is just so hard, and it really breaks my heart to see them upset. Like my 7-year-old, she has so many behavior problems, and it's hard to see this is what I did to my children, but that's what holds you down. It doesn't matter where you've been, it's where you're going to go.
Matilda, you were also in a place where you needed housing. You were getting a master's degree, right? Mm-hmm. And you had to go back to school full time, and you had to do an internship. That meant giving up some income, and you lost your apartment.
Yes.
And you had 2 boys, so what did you do? How did you find help?
Once my internship came up, I had to basically say, which one's more important and which one's going to be more beneficial to me and my family. So therefore, I went ahead and pursued the internship. I was able to complete it in June. And
your master's degree?
Yes, in rehabilitation counseling. And I have a job now, and tomorrow's my first day.
Great.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
With a counseling agency, and it's been a long time coming. 6 years. I was so determined, and nothing mattered. I had to work with what I had, and I think with sheer determination and a goal and even a small vision, there's light at the end of the tunnel, and just keep going.
How are the rest of your kids doing in school? I know it's really hard. Were you able to keep them in their old schools, or do they go to new schools, or how does that work when you're kind of in a shelter situation?
Well, my case manager at the shelter, she told me about Cuidando a los Niños, and it's the best thing that's ever happened to me and my children, because that's what's kept me unstable, is because I've never had support for my children, and I would always go back to my children's dad, and it was just a cycle of, he would want me to get a job, quit a job, and I just never was able to finish school, get an education, and I'm only a year away from a bachelor's degree, and I for the first time I actually feel with Cuidando a los Niños do that. It's great.
Angela, since we're talking about Cuidando so much, you're the executive director. Albuquerque Public Schools, they served 7,100 homeless children just in the last year. That's just APS. What do we know about the impacts of homelessness on children? You see these kids every day.
We know that there are insecurities, mistrust that are building up, and not only through the family violence, but in other ways do they experience varying degrees of trauma. So a part of what is at issue here is how resilient can we help these children become to be in some of the situations they're in, as well as to develop more fully, physically, mentally, emotionally.
That's about teaching resiliency skills.
That's a part of it for me.
Are we seeing different kinds of people coming in to seek homeless services now?
We certainly are. We see folks that are grabbing a meal at our day shelter because they're food insecure. They're looking for jobs. They're trying to find support services to just get them by while they're out there pounding the pavement trying to find a job. And using our employment services as well. So
it seems to me that folks really have a misconception about who the homeless really are. At the Barrett House shelter, we have nurses, we have teachers, who are homeless. So I think that the Albuquerque really hasn't changed. I think it's just revealing itself in a more clear way.
Family Promise too, we see a lot of couples that come in and for an average apartment, a 2-bedroom apartment, they need to be making like $13 an hour to afford that apartment per month. Well, if one of them is working a job that's $10 an hour and they're both working, so they're going fine. If one of them loses their job, then they're evicted.
Or if hours are even cut.
Right.
Or
When their hours are cut. So
right.
Most families probably spend well beyond 30% of their income for housing, and the rule of thumb is that 30%. But I think that with a declining economy, it's become more and more prevalent as to what's going on. Our society has changed in a lot of ways. When you fell on hard times, you were able to go with family. And you didn't stand out as a homeless person. But we have such a mobile society now that families, if you're living in Albuquerque and you don't have a support system here, you miss literally 3 months you're from homelessness if you own a home, because in 3 months you can get served foreclosure notice and be evicted or actually go through a judicial process to keep your home, which means that if you don't have the money for the judicial process, you're quickly out of your home. So most of us sitting around this table are probably 3 to 4 months from homelessness because it's just what dictates today and what it costs to live in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Housing is not cheap in Albuquerque. It's pretty expensive. This issue of foreclosure is also, people think it's just homeowners that are impacted by it. Renters are impacted by it as well, because there's people that own rental property and they're falling on hard times and they're losing their rental properties to foreclosure. And prior to, I believe, 1999, a law went on the books that said that it gave more protections to renters that are being foreclosed, by being evicted due to foreclosures, because their landlords say, you got to go, or the owners say, you got to go. You don't have to go. You have protections. I would encourage everybody to talk to landlord-tenant hotline if that happens to you, because they cannot just put you out of your home. And I tell people that are facing foreclosure on their home, if they own their home, don't get scared out of your home. I think that you need to stick there and hang in there as long as you can and see if you can get some help out there, because I think I just don't want to see people walking away from their homes because the option is homelessness, the streets. So I'd rather see someone living illegally in their home, sorry bankers, but I really would, than to see our community out in the streets, because the rates of foreclosure are getting higher and higher in the city and in this state.
Catholic Charities has a couple of housing programs, and one of them is rental assistance. If you can get rental assistance, that's often the last thing before you become homeless.
yes, the amount of need for that program was unbelievable. We received anywhere from 75 to 100 calls daily from
Saying I can't make my rent.
Yeah, can't make my rent, and there was any number of reasons. It could be hours cut, it could be a lost job, it could be something as simple as an illness. Someone got sick, they missed a week of work, now they can't pay their rent because a lot of folks don't have sick time or vacation time. So when they are sick for a week, that's it. Car repair, any number of things. And we ended up with that program, we served a little under 500 households, which is awesome. But the need in the community so far exceeded that you know, it's a drop in the bucket, and that's scary.
Where can people go for rental assistance now?
We have funds for a program called RAP, which is Rental Assistance Program, and it's funded through the New Mexico Mortgage Finance Authority. But those funds, there's about $140,000 available for rental assistance. Compare that to with the Homeless Prevention and Rapid Rehousing Program, which we had about $2.5 million, so it was a big difference.
Were those stimulus funds?
Yes, those were from the stimulus funds.
One-time funds.
So we are able to provide this assistance. It breaks down if we provide, say, an average of 6 months of rental assistance to about 40 to 50 households over the course of the grant year. That's it. And what's frightening about that is that every month we have the first 2 days people can call to inquire about assistance, and that's when we do the phone screens. And between yesterday and today, we got 175 phone calls for that program, and that covers Bernalillo and Sandoval counties, and that's all there is.
I think one of the real gaps in our community is around prevention funding. So this pot of money that we got a couple of years ago, this Homeless Prevention and Rapid Rehousing Funds, that was the biggest pot of prevention money that we've ever gotten in New Mexico. And what was exciting about that, in addition to being able to serve a lot of people that wouldn't otherwise have been served, is we also had a chance to build a model prevention program. So we now have really the data to show that we know that prevention works and can prevent homelessness for a lot of folks. But now that those stimulus funds have gone away, we're kind of back largely to the same place that we were a couple of years ago, where there's a huge gap for these types of services.
And 85% of those who exited the program exited stable. The program itself offered not just rental assistance, but also supportive services. So the
What
idea
are those?
being
Can you talk? Yeah.
Case management. We had some job search assistance. We provided life skills education so they could take a budgeting class. A lot of job development, working with people on applying for jobs, working on their resume. We had mock interview classes.
Michael, you're doing rapid rehousing at Barrett Foundation, am I right?
We just started.
You just started it. Okay, now is this like a new pot of money, or are you shifting how you use your money? Where's that coming from?
This was an increase in funding to the city of Albuquerque, which was then passed along to Barrett to essentially pilot a shelter-based rapid rehousing. Our goal is to move women and children into some stable housing as quickly as possible. We know that once a woman and her kids are housed, that they're safe, they're secure, and they can continue to provide or be provided the kinds of supportive services that they need to stay housed. It's less than $100,000.
Do we need more shelters, or do we need to focus more on housing, like the rapid rehousing? Do you have thoughts on
One
that?
of the things that we're really learning here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, but throughout the country, is that shelters play a really important role in the community in addressing homelessness, because, particularly for families, because they provide a safe place for families and their children to stay. But shelters in and of themselves do not end homelessness. If you live in a shelter, you're still homeless. And on top of that, we also know that shelters are just incredibly expensive to operate. So they use a lot of resources, but so they're not necessarily the most cost-effective solution. So one of the emerging models that Michael's talking about and that Catholic Charities has worked on too is rapid rehousing, which is you continue to have your shelters in the community. They're keeping families safe. They're doing great work. But by using the rapid rehousing model, families are able to exit the shelter as quickly as possible into their own housing. And the other advantage of that is then it opens up a bed for another family that needs that.
What do you think of that, Jen? I know you operate a shelter.
Yeah, I think you do need to continue to maintain all the stages, because I think it is great to have the rapid rehousing, but you really do need to have those shelters available, those beds available, so that when people call and they say, I'm sleeping in my car, it's really cold outside with my 3 kids and I need a place to be, that there is space. And for like Family Promise, our shelter model is a little bit less expensive because we partner with congregations around the city. So it's a community-based model. We don't actually have a building. We have, all these different churches and synagogues that are providing space in their congregation. And so they provide the meals and they provide the overnight space. And then, we just have to maintain a day center with a couple of staff. And so we're able to do it about half the cost of a normal shelter.
What's the capacity? How many people can you handle?
14 at one time. So it's 3 families at a time, 25 families a year pretty much. But if we can get them through faster, then we can.
In the ideal world, as far as I'm concerned, if we got, an unlimited amount of money coming into New Mexico, we would, put some towards a shelter, but more towards getting housing, for families. We see 35 to 40 women and children every night. And every week we may have four openings. And we get 25 calls a day from families looking for a place to be.
Can I ask some of the people in here who've experienced homelessness, were there times you couldn't get a bed? Did that happen? What did you do?
When I first came here, my cousin said that I could stay, and I had called the safe house and they didn't have any room for me. So I was staying with her, and then it got overwhelming with the kids. So then I went to my auntie's in Los Lunas, but I didn't have a car, so I didn't see how I could get, on my feet. So I kept calling and calling. I also called Barrett's house, but they don't deal with the domestic violence. So I didn't have that option. And then finally, I called one day, and they finally let me in. And it was hard because I didn't know what I was going to do.
Angelica?
Well, actually, the cops took me over there because I got into an argument with my boyfriend. And when the cops got there, that's when they took me to the shelter.
I think one of the problems that I think a lot of providers face, or the community that we serve face, is that if you're going to be put in housing, you have to be a part of a program. So you're either getting substance abuse treatment or mental health treatment, and so housing is attached to that program. So
why is that? Does it have to do with how it's funded? Or?
Part of it is that, yeah, absolutely. There's like the Albuquerque Heading Home Initiative, which is really great, but you have to be chronically homeless. You have to have certain identifiable issues before you can be a part of that project.
There's not a lot for your regular,
run-of-the-mill homeless.
So if you're a homeless family and you don't have a substance abuse issue, you don't have a severe mental health issue, there's not a lot. And that was one of the things that was really so wonderful with that homeless prevention rapid rehousing program, is that it didn't really matter what your, there wasn't any requirement that you fit into anything. You just had to be struggling to pay your rent.
I have an example of one mother who called to enroll a child in our program, and she hasn't been in a domestic violence situation, so there wasn't access through to Safe House there. And as you're hearing, other beds are closed. So they've been living out of a van that alternately has a battery that goes dead, or they run out of gas. They're trying to stay invisible on the streets, but every couple of days somebody reports them, and they either have to move or get stopped and told by the police to move on. They're not secure. They can't lock one of the doors. So everything that the family owns is in the van, and half of it has already been stolen. She's been doing this for 2 months now and is at the end of her rope.
What should be the top priority? Should there be a central intake? Is it getting more resources, or is it reallocating what we have, given where we are financially these days? What do you all think?
We're not going to really solve the homelessness issue until we increase the supply of affordable housing in our community. And that does mean an increase in investment, I believe, at the local, state, and federal level. in affordable housing resources. But I think that also it's not just a matter of helping a family that's homeless, get into their apartment and then it's like, okay, good luck guys, we'll see you later. I mean, a lot of families need support and help to get back on their feet and to get
what
their
kinds of
confidence
support
up.
services, Vicki?
I mean, maybe these ladies can talk about the kinds of things that have been helpful for you guys.
I could talk all day about just the childcare, the preschool for my children. That's the biggest thing. And without that, I would not be able to work on my goals. So it's for the first time I actually feel like I can actually finish school and concentrate because of that.
It's hard to go to school. It's hard to go look for a job when you have children attached to your hip.
Exactly. I have an 8-month-old and a 5-year-old who has ADHD, and it's really hard to concentrate.
And employers probably are you going to bring your kids with you?
Yeah.
How's that world work?
Yeah.
I think more employment services is needed. They shut down the Status of Women, which was a state-operated agency, and I missed them dearly, or during the time. But I know a lot of women went there because you can fax your application and also do printouts of your resumes.
This is a commission on the status of women, and they offered services to women who are in job search.
Yes, So I believe that they were very instrumental in my job search.
So you think it's a funding issue at the state level, the local level?
All levels. I mean, really, I think the commitment has to be there at all levels of government. And I'm not saying either that it's just like a government problem to solve. I think it's really a community problem that all the stakeholders in our community have a role to play in ending homelessness.
Housing just did not happen in this country without deep subsidies. That's how we created the white middle class in this country, was through the federal housing subsidies that we gave to people. So that's not a new concept for us in terms of what we've done to provide housing in this country. I also think from a policy level that we need to start thinking creatively. There's a lot of housing stock out here because of foreclosures. There's a lot of houses sitting in our neighborhoods empty, and you're right down the street, there's a homeless family. It makes no sense why these two cannot be connected to me. And it's because, well, first of all, the housing that's foreclosed upon is owned by banks. They're not selling these properties to other people, investors by and large. The banks, in our experience, is that they're buying these properties back and they're holding these properties. So what happened to the Community Reinvestment Act, where banks have to do something to help their community? Why aren't we taking those properties, and not those properties that are out on the fringe? Because as this woman said, to move her to Los Lunas without a vehicle, what resources does she have to get better, to get to access to those resources? I would say that the bankers in this community should be making a real investment in this issue. It's destabilizing our community.
It seems like it would be helpful to have some kind of centralized system where people are in all these stages of need.
And actually, it's very interesting that you say that, because we get about $4.5 million every year in Albuquerque from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD, to fund housing programs that help folks that are homeless. So St. Martin's, Barrett Foundation, Cuidando Los Niños all gets this funding. It's called Continuum of Care. And actually this year, HUD said if communities want to continue to receive Continuum of Care funding, they're going to have to develop a coordinated intake and assessment process. So that is actually something that we will be developing over the next couple of years.
Oh, great.
And it should help, yes.
Well, we will move on to the next part, and we can talk more about solutions with our leadership in the second half.